So I was watching the IMO podcast with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, and they brought on Kiki Palmer. And when I tell you, it was such a dynamic conversation because they touched on so many topics that I think everybody, every family should be talking about. And so if you haven't watched that podcast, I recommend you go watch it. But the first thing they talked about that's near and dear to me is purpose. Purpose, purpose, purpose. But the term that they used was dreams. And they couched the discussion around an example at when you're young and you're asked what do you want to be when you grow up, and the adults, they cheer and they clap when you say things like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and the eyebrows start to go up when you say things like, oh, I want to be a bus driver, because to them that's not something that they want for you. Why don't you want to be a doctor? Why don't you want to be a lawyer? And that's when shame sets in. And it was such an impactful conversation that they were having around shame being introduced into our lives at such early ages, because it's that shame that distorts our focus. And so as I began to listen to this discussion unfold, the theme of focus started to jump out for me, because I believe that your focus becomes your future. And in every phase of my life, I've had to adjust my focus in order to deal with what that phase of my life had for me. And some of those things come in the form of distractions. And the distractions are those things that I found for me that are testing my will, and they're testing my ability to stand 10 toes down in what I say I want for my life. And when I pass those tests, when I don't allow those things to distract me from my focus, that's when life says, okay, all right, we're going to let you move on to the next phase. If you don't, you're going to continue this cycle. But you got to be careful about thinking that something is a distraction when it's not, because something can also be a byproduct of what you prayed for. I remember when I used to only pray, I used to say, I pray for health, peace, and prosperity. And then I had the bright idea to ask for wisdom, right? But what I didn't understand was that with wisdom comes pain, it comes experience. And I was experiencing a lot of pain, and I didn't know what it was for. And I said, oh, I prayed for wisdom. And so I had to really shift my focus and shift my perspective to understand what was a byproduct of what I prayed for and what was truly a distraction, taking me further away from the vision of how I want my life to feel and to be. And so for anybody who might be experiencing dissonance within yourself, you might have had a whole host of accomplishments in your life, and you might be at a place where you're saying to yourself, why don't I feel the way I want to feel? I would implore you to check your focus, adjust your vision, because you might be in a phase of your life where you need to re-examine whether or not what you're doing truly aligns with how you want your life to feel and to be.